Hi, everybody. Welcome to our program. This is English Digest.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And we're going to kick off the month of October with our unit on sports. Get it? Kick off. You know, that's how a game starts. And we're going to be talking about sports in today's program. Although we're not talking about football. We're talking about running or jogging. And sometimes we can run or jog for the benefit of others if we're in some kind of, what would you call those, a runathon or something like that. But in this particular case, we're trying to help people out who have problems with their gallbladders.
No, we are actually going to talk about people who have spinal cord injuries.
Oh, that was it, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about how people participate in this particular race. It's a virtual race, but you can also race in real life if you want to. So we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to read through today's lesson.
All over the world, people love racing for a good cause. Cities organize races for thousands of participants to run in together. But what if you could participate in a truly global race? That's the difference with the Wings for Life WFL World Run. This annual virtual race allows anyone with a smartphone to participate, and it makes a big difference in spinal cord injury research. WFL was originally conceived in 2014 as both a virtual and in-person race. Runners and wheelchair users could race on designated courses, or they could use the WFL app to race from anywhere. The event went completely virtual in 2020 and 2021 due to world circumstances. But how does a virtual race work? When registering, competitors can set a goal for how long and how far they run, making the event suitable for participants of any level. At a specified time on race day, the starting signal sounds on the app, and racers take off. 30 minutes later, a virtual catcher car is released to overtake participants one by one. Each person's race time finishes once they're passed by the car. All of the proceeds from this run go to support research on spinal cord injuries. Such injuries can severely impact the use of people's limbs and cause other health complications. By funding studies around the world, WFL hopes to assist researchers in finding a cure. If a virtual race for a cause sounds like your speed, you can sign up for 2022's WFL World Run, which will happen on May 8th next year.
Okay, guys, let's get started. Let's take a look at the title, A Global Run for a Good Cause. You'll often hear people talking about a good cause. They're doing something for a good cause, or you're supporting a good cause. It just means they're doing something or giving or donating money or their time to some sort of organization that helps the needy, the poor, the disabled. There are a lot of good charitable organizations out there. There are also some charitable organizations out there that don't do much good. So make sure you know a lot about any sort of charity that you donate your money to before you do it. Some of them don't actually use the money for people who need it. So be careful with that. But a good cause is just something to help others that need help. So this is a good cause. It's a global run. So it's going to affect people all over the world. And they've named this particular run, it's a virtual race actually, Wings for Life.
Okay, so the first paragraph begins by saying, all over the world, people love racing for a good cause. People love racing to be competitive sometimes. If you enter, say, the Boston Marathon or something like that, you're just entering in order to win or to do well and stuff like that. But we have these charity athletic activities that people can run in, and then they look for people to pledge money, like I'll pledge, say, $10 for every mile that you run or something like that. And when I was a kid, of course, we had the walkathon. I can't remember the government agency that was or what the charity was, but basically, yeah, you were going to walk 20 miles and you find sponsors to give you money for every mile that you walk. So that's what this is talking about. You're racing for a good cause. You're trying to raise money for charities.
Yeah, it's really a good thing. So cities organize races for thousands of participants to run in together. So if you're a participant in something, you are participating. You're getting in there. You're actually involved. Another word we use for people who often are not actually participating, but maybe watching something, or they're in the stands as a fan, those are called spectators. But here we're going to be talking about those who are participating or the participants.
Exactly. So, of course, these races involve thousands of participants, and they all run together at the same time. But what if you could participate in a truly global race? Most of the time, these races for a good cause take place locally, maybe here in Taipei, in Kaohsiung, in Boston, as I said, in London or whatever. But we're asking this question, what if it took place on a global scale? What if you could participate in a truly global race? I don't know how you would do that, but that's the difference with the Wings for Life World Run. And it's abbreviated with the letters WFL, Wings for Life.
It's annual, as we're told in the next sentence. Annual is something that happens every year. So we might have an annual Christmas party, an annual Chinese New Year party. Those just happen once a year. Virtual means it's not happening in real life. It's happening via computer usually. We're using some sort of technology for you to participate. So you've probably seen a lot of virtual reality videos at this point. There are a lot of them out there. This is an annual virtual race, and it allows anyone with a smartphone to participate. You just have to have a smartphone. You can't just have one of those old-fashioned phones. You have to have a smartphone because it needs to be connected to the internet for you to participate. It says here it makes a big difference in spinal cord injury research. Your spinal cord, of course, is that backbone you have that is so important. If something happens to your spine, that's the noun form of that word spinal. It means you've hurt your back in some ways, and sometimes it can actually paralyze people, and they can no longer walk. So they're helping researchers come up with some ways to treat these injuries.
Exactly. So the spinal cord, again, is all those nerves that go down your backbone. And sometimes, as Stephanie said, you might get in an accident and damage your spinal cord, and you might become paralyzed. And they want to help people regain the ability to walk and things like that. So, of course, we need to have some research done. And again, research is non-count, so please don't say researches. I've heard that many times. You can say studies have been done, but research has been done. And moving now into the second paragraph, it says, WFL was originally conceived in 2014 as both a virtual and in-person race. So again, as Stephanie said earlier, virtual has to do with the internet or being on the computer, and being in person means you're actually there at the race. Your body is there, and you don't need to have your smartphone to be there.
You're not pretending, you're not online, pretending you're actually there in person. It's funny how we have to say that now. It's an actual in-person race. That never used to be possible before, to have virtual races. So we've got runners and wheelchair users. They can race on designated courses. If something's designated for something, it just means it's been set aside to be used in a particular way, or perhaps by a particular person. Who's your designated host, or who is your designated partner? Sometimes when you get a new job, they'll put a trainer with you just to kind of help you know how the company runs. It could be a designated trainer, a designated person to help you understand what you need to do. These are courses or the areas where they'll be racing and their designated courses. So they pick out very specific places where these people will be racing.
Exactly. The course refers to where you're racing. And, of course, there are lots of apps, I guess, for your phone that you can use when you work on your exercise bicycle at home. And they will offer you various courses. Here's a course through the mountains. Here's a course through London, etc., etc. And they're determined ahead of time. They're designated. Or you could use the WFL app to race from anywhere. You could race from your hometown just by using that app. And the event went completely virtual in 2020 and 2021, which of course is this year and last year, and that was due to world circumstances, and I don't think I need to tell you what those circumstances were.
No, so there were no in-person races in 2020 and 2021. So we're going to be talking about how this virtual race works. But first, guys, we're going to take a quick break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello, everyone. 我是派老师。今天讲解的是10月份 Unit 1 A Global Run for a Good Cause Wings for Life 这个单元是一篇克漏字测验，文章介绍了一个路跑活动，活动名称是 The Wings for Life WFL World Run。这项活动同时也是公益活动，比赛的所有收益都用于资助脊髓损伤的研究。我们现在来解题，先看第一题空格前后的句子。But what if you could participate in a truly global race? That's the difference with the Wings for Life WFL World Run. 但是如果你可以参加真正的全球赛跑呢？这就是 WFL 全球路跑的不同之处。了解前后文以后，我们看到第一题题干。This annual virtual race allows anyone with a smartphone to participate, and it in spinal cord injury research. 这项1年1度的虚拟比赛允许任何拥有智慧型手机的人参赛，而它脊髓损伤研究。我们一起看一下4个选项的意思。第一题的 A 是对什么有很大的影响 ，B make a name 是成名的意思 ，C strikes a balance 取得平衡 ，D scratches a living 勉强糊口。根据文章最后提供的线索 ，all of the proceeds 这个句子 ，all of the proceeds 这个句子是 WFL 的所有活动收益都用来支持脊髓损伤的研究，可见 WFL 对脊髓损伤的研究有很大的影响。所以第一题答案选 A makes a big difference。紧接着第二题，在第二段一开头 WFL was originally in 2014 好，那 WFL 在最初呢，在2014年的时候，作为一场虚拟的和亲身实际参与的比赛，我们一起看一下4个选项的意思。第二题的 A 是预测 ，B conceive 是构想 ，C 限制 ，D 则是欺骗的意思。我们知道任何活动都是需要事先构想规划，绝对不是凭空产生的。WFL 也不例外。一开始在2014年这个想法提出的时候，是要做虚拟，也要做实体的赛事。只有 B conceive 构想才能搭配前后文的语义，所以第二题选 B。We're
going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue to talk about this global run for a good cause. And again, it's called Wings for Life. And it's an annual virtual race. And anyone with a smartphone can participate. And if you participate, you can make a big difference in spinal cord research or spinal cord injury research. Again, the idea first came out in 2014. It was supposed to be both online or virtual, and it was supposed to be an in-person race. And again, you could run, you could use a wheelchair or whatever, and they have these predetermined, or designated courses. Or again, you could use the WFL app to race from anywhere. And of course, it was completely virtual in 2020 and 2021 because of the nasty global pandemic. But how does a virtual race work? Yeah, how do you do this? We've all got smartphones, but yeah, if we want to have this race, how do we do it?
Well, the first thing you've got to do, of course, is register. So if you register for some sort of competition or race, it usually means you're filling out a form of some type, giving them your name, your contact details, things like that, so that they know that you want to participate. So if you're participating, we're going to call you a competitor now. You can set a goal for how long and how far you want to run. I would probably set a goal for maybe a half a mile, and maybe that would be enough. But anyway, you set your own goal, and you make the event, they're making the event suitable for participants of any level. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, maybe you don't run very far yet, or maybe you're a marathoner and you love to run long distances. I have a niece like that, and I don't understand that. I don't really like to run very far. So at the specified time on race day, you're going to hear a starting signal. If you watch a lot of competitions like this, or if you've participated, you know that at the start line or the starting line, they usually have some official there with a gun. It's not a real gun. But when it's time to start, the shot will fire and you'll hear that signal. It just means everyone starts running. Well, this starting signal will make a sound on the app on your smartphone. And that's when the racers take off or start to run.
Exactly, like a plane takes off from a runway at the airport, and 30 minutes later, a virtual catcher car is released to overtake participants one by one. So this is a special feature of this. In 30 minutes, they will release this catcher car. I guess it's a virtual car, and somehow in the application or in the software, the car will actually catch you or overtake you. Overtake here just means to pass somebody. You can be overtaken on the freeway, for example. If you're driving kind of slow, then all the other cars will pass you or they will overtake you, and they will do this one by one.
Yeah, we'll use this word a lot, not just when we're driving on the road and a car will go faster than we will, but also in the races, like Tom was saying. If you swim or run in those kind of races, you can overtake your competitor by passing them. So, yeah, this catcher car is released to overtake participants one by one. I think you have to see this to actually understand how it works. So each person's race time finishes once they're passed by the car. You don't want to let the catcher car pass you if you want to continue running. So moving on to the final paragraph here. All of the proceeds from this run go to support research on spinal cord injuries. Proceeds. We say this word differently because it's a noun. Proceeds just refers to the money that is earned or raised from some type of event like this. You'll often see it when you're talking about money that's raised for a charity. The proceeds, where are all the proceeds going? That's what they'll say. So proceed or proceed is the verb, but proceed is a noun, and we do pronounce it differently. The accent comes on the first syllable, proceeds.
Yeah, and it's always plural if you're talking about money raised from some kind of activity.
Yep.
Like in my hometown, they used to have these bake sales. Ladies in the town would bake pies and cakes and bread and stuff like that, and then they would sell it, and then the proceeds would go to some, say, animal shelter or for a food drive to give money to poor people and stuff like that. So in this particular case, all of the money they raise, all of the proceeds from this run, go to support research research on spinal cord injuries, and such injuries can severely impact the use of people's limbs and cause other health complications. So severely here is an adverb. It just means to a high degree. And of course, if you've suffered such an injury, say in a car accident or something like that, hey, it severely changes your life. You can't really use your limbs, especially if you get paralyzed from the neck down. My goodness, you could not move your arms or your legs. And or if you are paralyzed from the waist down, then you can't move your legs, but still that makes it impossible to walk. You can still get around in a wheelchair, but still it severely impacts the use of your limbs, and your life changes big time, and you might have other health complications. Complications are things that happen as the result of something. So, of course, if you have such an injury, there will be other things wrong with you as well that you need to pay attention to.
You'll often hear it on medical shows. A doctor perhaps just performed surgery on a patient, and they expected the surgery or the operation to be quite simple, but there were complications. Complications in medicine just means a secondary condition or even a different disease was created due to the first one, due to unforeseen circumstances. So you don't want to hear that. Oh, there were complications. Maybe they couldn't stop the bleeding and the patient passed away. Anyway, other health complications often happen when you are talking about people who have hurt their spinal cord. So by funding studies around the world, WFL hopes to assist researchers in finding a cure. They're always trying to find cures for diseases and these long-term conditions, of course, and we all hope they do, of course, especially if you have friends and loved ones who are suffering from spinal cord injuries.
Indeed, and of course, they're doing this to help those people with such injuries. Hopefully, they will come up with some solutions in the future. This sort of reminds me of that ice bucket challenge that was so popular, about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's already been some time, but they were trying to raise money for research regarding ALS, which is, arterial lateral sclerosis or something like that, or Lou Gehrig's disease, as we sometimes call it in the USA. But this is for people who are suffering from spinal cord injuries, and that's what they're trying to do. And we've got this phrase, they hope to do this. And of course, we're referring to this organization or this activity as a single unit. So it hopes to assist researchers in finding a cure. That's what they hope to do. You might be asked this question, what do you hope to do in the future? Well, I hope to go to university. I hope to travel the world, things like that.
So if a virtual race for a cause sounds like your speed, you can sign up for 2022's WFL World Run. It's going to happen on May 8th next year. So if something sounds like it's your speed, it just means something that would appeal to you. That's kind of just right for you. We'll often say it when we're talking about maybe a new hobby or something. Oh, that sounds just like my speed. Or, that sounds like it's just up my alley. That's another phrase we use. It's something I think I would be interested in. If you are, guys, you need to make sure that you get signed up, which also is another way to say register. So you sign up for a class, you sign up for an event. You usually fill out a form, just like you do when you register for something. Is this something that looks interesting to you, Tom?
Well, maybe, but, I'm not really a good runner. I've got some knee problems.
You're a biker.
Yeah, I ride my bicycle now. I used to jog many years ago, but I've lost all the cartilage in one of my knees.
Ow.
And I can't get the insurance to pay for an operation, so I have to be very careful with my knee. So hopefully maybe they'll come up with some other ways to participate in this activity other than running. They did say that you can use a wheelchair if you want to. So I think we have a spare one around the house somewhere. So maybe I could use that. But, if I could participate, I certainly would sign up for next year's World Run. And it will happen on May 8th next year. And hopefully it will be both in person and virtual at the same time.
Sounds fun. Right now, guys, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time.
前文提到武汉肺炎疫情全球肆虐，因此2020和2021两年都改成只有虚拟的赛事。But how does a virtual race work? 那到底这种所谓的虚拟赛跑是怎么样运作呢？我们接着看到第三题 When registering 第三个空格 can set a goal 可以设定目标。这句话的意思，题干的意思是说，报名注册的时候空格可以自己设定目标，看他们要跑多久跑多远。这个做法让这项活动适合各种程度的参与者。我们一起看一下4个选项的意思。A. Inventors 发明家 B. 是检查者 C. 是祖先而 D. 这是参赛者的意思。因为第三题题干前面是 when 所引导的副词子句的省略，只有主词跟主要子句相同的时候才可以这么省略，因此报名当然是参赛者报名，所以第三题选 D。 再来我们看第4题，前一句说到 at a specified time on race day， 这句话的意思是说，在比赛日的特定时间，应用程式响起开始的信号，参赛者便出发，30分钟后，一辆虚拟的终结者号就会开出来，追上一名又一名的参赛者。第4题的题干 Each person's race time finishes 空格 They're passed by the car。 我们看一下有哪一些选项。好 A. Though 是虽然， B. Yet 是但是， C. Once 是一旦， D. Unless 是除非。从前一句我们可以推测这一句是在说明，一旦参赛者被那辆车超越了，各自的比赛时间就结束了。所以第4题答案选 C. Once。 最后第5题，我们先看第5题前一句 Such injuries can severely impact the use of people's limbs and cause other health complications。 这种损伤会严重影响肢体活动，并导致其他并发症。好，我们看第5题的题干，空格 Studies around the world WFL hopes to assist researchers in finding a cure。 空格世界各地的研究 WFL 希望帮助研究人员找到治疗方法。这一题借由 fund 资助这个动词的各种变化产生不同语义。 A. by funding 是透过资助研究，符合前后文语义，所以第5题选 A。 B 不定词呢，则表示目的，为了赞助。 C 和 D 会产生文法错误，所以我们都不选。答案第5题的答案我们选择 A by funding。 以上就是我们今天的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
That's it for today's lesson, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to our program, and maybe we have inspired you to help out people who have suffered from spinal cord injuries. You know, their lives have changed big time. Every little bit that you can give helps, and especially if you could participate in this activity. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Bye.
Bye.